everybody, and welcome to the Harsh Vocals Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Corbett, along with Christian Renner. And today we're joined by two excellent musicians from the band Amiensus. We've got Jim Benson and Todd Farnham, the vocalist, guitarist, and bassist of the band, joining us today. How are you guys?
Good.
Awesome.
Well, we're super excited to have you guys on. We've been shouting the praise for Reclamation Pt1 for months, and we're both very excited for Reclamation Pt2. Thank you, Todd, for letting us listen to it a little bit early. I'm completely blown away by the second half of this, and actually the entire package. Hearing it in its entire context, it's quite an experience. I loved how you guys ended with the instrumental track on the end of Reclamation Pt1, but now that I've felt the emotional flow of that into the second half, I even have a better appreciation for it. And like currently, it's sitting at my number 3 album of the year. It's excellent. I love everything you guys are doing. So thanks for making such great music, and thanks for coming on to talk to us about it.
Yeah. If we slip you a 20, can we go up on that ranking?
Possibly. I mean, time can improve things too. I mean, I've only heard Pt2 probably 6 times so far, but the more I listen to it, it might move up. We'll see. Christian, go ahead.
Did you end up liking Orb?
I loved it. Yeah. Actually, there's not a single bad track on the album. There's not even a single mediocre track on the album. It's all just top tier material. Christian and I, we talk about so much music. We listen to hundreds of albums every single week, and we pick our 6 favorites and discuss them on the podcast every 2 weeks. 2024 is the most stacked year for metal in 30 years. I mean, there's just so much quality material coming out. So, for you guys being in my top 3, that says something. You guys are miles ahead of everybody else as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
I mean, right now, we've said on multiple occasions at this point that 10 years from now, people will look back at 2024 and talk about how good of a year this was. And it really has been. I mean, I'm 55 years old, so, I grew up in the 80s, and this year rivals 1986. And, the year that, Master of Puppets and Rain in Blood and Peace Cells and Among the Living all came out all in one year, this rivals that. And I would actually say that it's probably better if you consider all the different variety of genres that are just crushing it, just absolutely crushing it this year. It's insane. It really is.
Totally agreed. I think probably since Spotify came out, I've been keeping a top albums list, and this is probably the first year in 5 or 6 at least that my playlist has actually been primarily metal albums.
Yeah.
And I say that as somebody who only listened to metal 10 years ago, and at this point listens to probably only 30% metal, I guess. But this year it's been 70%. So
wow.
Agreed. I've just found a lot more.
Yeah, there's just so much coming out, and it's not just in the black metal or death metal realms. It's there's great thrash, there's great prog, there's great power. I mean, we tend to cover more of the extreme metal stuff on our end, but we have a lot of podcaster friends that focus on other genres, so we hear it from them too. Everybody's just loving 2024 music wise.
Yeah, can't wait. We've been talking about doing a power metal song for the next album, so that
would be cool.
Yeah.
Gonna say Opeth is back, the growl is back. It's gonna be a good year.
Oh yeah,
everybody's excited about that.
I was super excited to see about that.
Yeah,
we're not allowed to talk about Opeth, Todd. Remember?
That's right. Yeah, no, never mind.
We're not allowed to talk about Opeth.
I forgot about the last 2 interviews.
We're not allowed to talk about Opeth.
That is hands down one of my favorite bands of all time. I absolutely adore Opeth, and I mean I'm completely good with his clean singing. I'm fine with that too. I honestly don't care, but I do. I mean, my favorite album is Blackwater Park, but all of them are. It's 1A, 1B kind of. There's not a weak album on their entire discography.
Agreed.
I kind of feel the same way about you guys. There's not a weak album in your discography either.
Yeah. I guess we should talk more about y'all's album. That would probably be what we're here for.
We don't have to. It's okay.
Yeah. James, are you thinking about the last EP? Is that why you're kind of
Yeah. Just the first one wasn't great, but yeah.
Well, so you guys have done 4 full-length albums. I mean, I'm counting Reclamation as one, solid album.
Double.
So, I mean, it is a double album. The first part was released in April. The second part is coming out at the end of this month, August 30th. So make sure you guys get your pre-orders in. And if you don't pre-order it, at least buy it when it comes out, because you're in for a treat. So it's 15 songs total. Todd, you and I talked several months ago on Twitter about the first half being more moody and sort of a lot more clean vocals, a lot more melodies and stuff, and the second half being a lot more black metal, kind of what people expect from your earlier sort of sounds. And I felt like that kind of held true. Was that intentional when you wrote the album? Did you intend to create it in a split like that so that it was more melodic in the first half and like more black metal kind of in the second?
Yeah, I don't think it was intentional. I think we came out saying we've got this amount of music ready to be recorded. Tracked it all, finished 15 songs, knowing double album. But then it was just a matter of what felt right where, because at first we weren't sure if we were going to be able to release it as one piece or if we would have to split it. Because as a double album on, smaller independent labels, it's hard to drop a lot of money for a label sometimes on 2 records, probably 2 CDs right away. So it made more sense on everyone's end to split it, to be able to take those pre-order sales for part 1, to be able to kind of flip it and take less risk on it.
That makes sense.
Flipping it to the second. Yep.
Yeah. Kind of also viewed that as like a marketing. So, I mean, it doesn't really apply to like the metal genres as much. I think this is like metal in, overall, not counting the 155 subgenres that we could dive, but yeah, just metal in general. Like people tend to listen to metal albums instead of singles per usual, instead of like most, I'm not just going to say mainstream, but just like other genres of music that are perhaps in the limelight and available for radio play. You can drop singles back to back to back. You can look at, though, like bands like in the genre Sleep Token, who basically released their whole album by releasing a single per month until the whole album was out, kind of thing. And so, not even being a Sleep Token fan, because honestly, I don't like. There's Sleep Token, but like I just listen to Catatonia if I want to listen to that. So, they're not bad. I just there's other stuff that I could get into.
They're what we'd consider a gateway band.
For sure,
a lot of people,
which I like. I like plenty of gateway bands still too, but it was also kind of a good marketing tool just to be like, hey, it's been technically almost 4 years since our last album. How do we engage an audience after taking that much time to release music, basically?
And speaking about this album and how the first part ends on that instrumental, it almost feels like an intermission. Then you come back for part 2, and that's when you get your ass kicked. And it works incredibly well that way. But I don't know if that was purposely or if it was just...
It definitely, it was placed there on purpose. I can say that kind of for that reason, actually. So I'm glad that you picked up on that. It's kind of like, here's kind of a good stopping point between, because it's also like the odd number track, basically. So there's like 7 intermission kind of style track and then seven again. But it also ties into the other instrumental track. I don't know if I'm giving away too much. If this comes out before the album comes out, that's cool too. But yeah, there's an instrumental track on the second half too. So it's tying into that one somewhat too. There's like a few riffs from it that are also in the other instrumental track. So it was placed there basically, though, as kind of like an intermission. It wasn't written to be that way. It was just like, we were intending to write an instrumental track, and we were going to have Antoine Dufour, who mixed our last album, play on it. And so me and 2 of the others, Aaron and Kelsey, kind of set out to write a track, and that's what we ended up coming up with, and then giving to Antoine, who ended up playing the electric guitar on it, which was not something we expected him to do, since I've never seen Antoine play electric guitar ever, and he's an acoustic guitar player, famously. Yeah, no, but it worked out perfectly. Like, it was just like, oh, this is a really good spot for. There were some in the band, though, however, that debated that spot for it because it felt like it killed the momentum.
Oh, I don't feel like it does at all. I feel like,
but that was before we broke it. Into 2. You know.
No, it's a beautiful song, and it really does kind of connect part 1 to part 2, and hearing them together is just a really different experience than hearing them individually. And I hope that when people do check it out, they listen to it, from beginning to end, from part 1 to part 2, because you get you get so much more out of it. At least I did.
I also seem to get a lot more out of this album on vinyl than I do digital. And me and Justin have talked about this on numerous occasions, that it just seems like there's certain albums that really, really work well on vinyl versus a digital. And I think it's just because on vinyl, you have to devote time to listen to this, and you're sitting there with the artwork, and the music kind of just washes over you. And because you're all focused on that. Usually if you're listening to something digitally, you're usually doing something else.
Yeah.
And so
active versus passive listening.
Exactly. But it's more than that too. Like there's a lot of vinyl heads that would say, oh, everything's better on vinyl. Everything always sounds better. And that's just not true. Like there's a lot of stuff that sounds the same as it would streaming, but there are certain albums that are greatly accentuated by listening on vinyl, and yours is one of them. Thoroughly enjoy it on vinyl. As you can see, I was listening to it earlier today.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where like the mastering process for vinyl is super interesting to me. Like I can't do it myself, but Spencer Fox, who mixed and mastered the album, spent a lot of time mastering this for vinyl, because I'm not sure if it was his first, but it was definitely his first or second. Sorry, the dogs. Time ever mastering for vinyl. So
yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think a lot of people nowadays, it used to be you're mastering because that's the way that people are going to hear it when everything was coming out on records. Now, depending, it can be kind of a secondary thing to, you throw it on vinyl and people go, oh, it's cool to collect it because it's unique, because it's vinyl, but they don't throw any effort into making sure that it's actually mixed to sound good on vinyl. Yeah. And I think that's also accentuated by, the style of our music being a lot about dynamics and contrast, and then a lot of bands that phone in the mix master for the vinyl, you could get away with it if the music's more dynamic. There's some high, heavy, softer, different dynamics like that. But a lot of people just have kind of the one tone the whole album, and send it, and it's just it's just a more expensive CD at that point.
That's basically how I decided like it was time to thin the herd when it came to my vinyl collection. Was like basically like, what is stuff that actually is like enhanced by listening to it on vinyl, because at some point I was like, all right, I have too many of these. I don't listen to them either.
I'm sitting at probably 1,300 vinyl albums at this point.
Oh Jesus!
I think I'm around 600.
I put to shame then. I was about half that.
Yeah, it can get a little bit unwieldy, especially if you're moving, but that's after I thinned the herd a little bit, because there were just certain ones, and now it's my favorite way of supporting bands. Like if I really like your album, like I've already got part 2 pre-ordered, I got part 1 sitting here, and it's far and away the best way, because I love the artwork. And I love the album, and it's to me, it's hands down the best way to support bands. Outside of live, going live, and spending as much on merch as you possibly can.
We always encourage our listeners to support bands, because if we don't buy stuff, then how are you guys going to keep making music? So
yeah,
amen.
Yeah,
it's called my credit card.
Yeah, especially in this day and age. We've talked about it before, but we're all always of the opinion that the bands playing metal nowadays, like especially black metal and this genre, this style, it's obvious that y'all are doing this for the love of the music, because it's not like y'all are ever going to buy a G7 jet. That's just not in the cards anymore. The millions of dollars, and that's kind of a thing of the past. Who knows? Maybe things could change. I don't know.
We can hope so.
I would certainly hope so. But I mean, at this point, if y'all could make a living doing this, that'd be great. And I've heard a lot of people just say, hey, if I didn't have to work a day job, that would be awesome. If I could just devote my time to doing this. And I definitely understand that. I used to be in a band, and I've had a day job for going on 35 years. I've had about enough. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But it makes me appreciate the bands more nowadays because, you know, y'all could get into this knowing, you know, that
it's about the passion, not about the money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the passion really comes through, especially on something like Reclamation, because every single song, you can tell it's just well crafted. You know, everything has a purpose. There's honestly no bloat in your album, and that's something we talk about a lot too, is like there's a lot of really good bands, really good albums, but there's always like one or two songs that sort of detract from the overall aesthetic and sound of the album. You guys don't really have that. Every single song I enjoy. There's no skippable tracks, there's no skippable moments. Like I enjoy all of it, and you can tell that so much passion and thought was put into not only the order of the songs and the structure of the songs, but also like the artwork that was chosen and the vibe and the feeling that you guys are trying to, you know, put out there. How did all of that come together? I mean, who's the driving force in the band behind that creative process?
What do you think, Todd?
I mean, I know for this album, you know, James and I are both big fans of Aria Fahn's artwork, you know, and I'm a photographer, so I'm always, you know, musicians are tuned into the art world, but there's another aspect of being tuned into the visual art world as well, I think. So just being able to see, and I work at an art gallery too, so
Cool.
I'm around visual art a lot. So, you know, yeah, we're glad to be able to work with her because we admired her artwork on Instagram just for years. So I think it kind of depends too. I mean, the last album was, you know, Jim, you did a
Pour over painting.
Resin.
Yep.
So I think it just kind of depends. I mean, I think we had a little bit more money saved up around this time, so it's nice to be able to sink that into good artwork.
In terms of like the driving force behind like writing music, is that kind of the question that you're going to go towards? Or?
Yeah, I mean, all of it. Like, what is your creative process
Yeah.
like? I mean, how do you guys come up with the songs? How did you come up with the concept for Reclamation? You know, how did you structure it the way that you did?
Gotcha. Yeah. I guess so. There's always been like kind of two sides of Amiensus. Like as a band now, we've been around for nearly 15 years. It started with me and Alec, who is still the guitar player in the band and part of the live band previously, as well as Aaron McKinney. And Aaron is still in the band, even though he quit technically after our second album, and has been on everything that we've ever done technically, even though he quit. He's also our like media guy, social media guy as well, so that's kind of cool. He's continued to be involved. He writes the acoustic stuff like on Transcendence to Grief. Mm-hmm. He wrote about half that track. We generally kind of have this process where like there's a few main songwriters. So on this album, basically there was like, let me think, 4 of us that basically wrote songs. So, or like basically we would write like okay, here's all of the riffs, here's a click track, we send it to Chris, and then whoever wrote most of the guitar would you know, talk to the other guitar players, talk about changing some stuff. Once we finalize that, it goes to Todd, and then we would tab them out with Todd so Todd could write his bass parts. And then it was kind of a free-for-all on like doing like keyboard stuff. This time around, so like Alec traditionally was always kind of the guy that did most of the keyboard stuff. Joe used to as well. Joe is also a former member that came back. He hasn't been on an album since Ascension, our second album. He came back for this album as well and wrote a few tracks on part 2. And so basically one main songwriter pitches it to the other guitar players and the drummer. We basically send files back and forth. Sometimes we got together, and the guitar players especially were able to get together and kind of like write parts together or rewrite parts together, tab it with Todd, and then go to keyboards and then go to vocals, or sometimes it was vocals and then keyboards at the end there. And then sometimes, you know, we also had Cacophonics, Chris Brown, who did cello on stuff. So a lot of the time we'd have like, sometimes we'd have vocals already written, sometimes we wouldn't, but it would at least be like the guitar, bass, drums, and we'd send it over to Cacophonics with like a click track and be like, hey man, go for it. No instructions to him. Any of the cello stuff, which there's a lot of tracks with cello on Reclamation and our previous album, Chris gets 0 instruction until after he's like pitched us everything. Mm-hmm. So like sometimes we'll be like, oh hey, actually can you play like this note here? Beyond that dude writes all of his own shit. He's awesome at that too.
That's really cool.
So that's
nice.
like that's the fast way to explain, like, that's kind of our creative process. Like, there's like a main songwriter, and then they pitch it to everybody else to kind of like add their input on it.
It's a lot of people involved. The fact that it comes out so well on the other side is pretty impressive.
I can talk about that a
very
lot.
cohesive. It comes out very cohesive. One thing that I noticed about the way, I mean, it could just be my imagination here, but a lot of, progressive black metal bands, they jump off into the melody from the aggression, but y'all seem to do it the other way around. You get to the aggression from the melody. Is that a conscious decision?
No, I think that's just ingrained in our like songwriting styles for so long, because we've been like writing music together. I mean, Todd and Todd was 23. Todd's been in the band over 10 years at this point. So Kelsey and Chris were the last people to technically join the band, and that was like 2016 and 2018. So basically, at least 5 of us have been writing music together for over a decade. Some of us since high school, since like 2005, almost 20 years at this point.
Wow.
So I think it's just like a lot of shared influence in how we've always written music together.
Is there any bands in the past that y'all are very heavily influenced by? Like I hear quite a bit of Agalloch in y'all's sound. If you hear Agalloch, that's basically me. All right.
Todd, you like Agalloch though, right?
No, yeah, I do. I saw them live.
I was gonna say, I think Chris maybe like enjoys some Agalloch. I know that occasionally he listens to Agalloch. I don't think anybody else really is a big Agalloch fan. They listen to it if I'm like driving and it's my turn to play music. But other than that, I don't know. Opeth has always been a big one. I'm not like the massivest Opeth fan. Personally, like I think, and if you're listening to specifically speaking to like part 2, there's a couple of tracks on there that like specifically one of them, Leprosarium. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
That one's Between the Distance and Orb. It's the second to last track. Alec and I, for example, when we met, we were like 14 years old, and we've always loved the Black Dahlia Murder. And that was our way of like Amiensifying Black Dahlia.
I can hear that. Yeah.
Influence into a song that we've never really like attempted to do in the past, because it's always been like, that's a little like people tend to not like the metalcore influence that we have sometimes in our music. And like, I can't deny it. Like, I grew up listening to metalcore too, but
we talk about metalcore all the time. Metalcore is not a dirty word.
Okay, that's good.
Fine.
That's good to know, because like if like Todd and I have talked about this a few times together, and maybe once or twice on a podcast or two too. But like influence wise, I can tell you that like the bands I look to for influence when I want to songwrite are Agalloch, Led Zeppelin, and Under Oath.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to say you're going to mention Under Oath at some point.
Yep.
What about you, Todd?
Is there anybody in the band that's a big Pink Floyd fan?
Oh, no.
That's a good question. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Because the track Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of Pink Floyd in that.
So Kelsey wrote most of that one right here where I'm sitting, basically with me here. It was mostly his riffs, and I just sat here tracking them and being like, all right, we should do it this way, and then putting the song, like the riffs together for him. And I don't think I would guess maybe because he's got a classical guitar background that he's probably learned a Pink Floyd song or two in the past as well. But
yeah, I absolutely love that track. Yeah. I just absolutely love that track.
We're the Harsh Vocals podcast, so I mean we tend to be drawn more to aggressive harsh vocals on than the cleans, but that song's just beautiful. And
well, thank you. We did intend that one to not have harsh vocals because it had been so long since we'd ever had a song without any harsh vocals that I outlawed it for that one.
I'm glad you did it. It's a great track.
Thank you.
What about you, Todd?
And I'd say
what about your influences?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, I'd say personally, a lot of who I look to learning bass and, loving the sound of was Opeth, first of all, and Cynic. Those were kind of the big two. I'm more kind of self-taught from learning songs, so I'm not going to say I have, the general knowledge that, Martin Mendez and Sean Malone have, especially Sean Malone. He's just insanely talented.
Yeah.
In terms of jazz playing, but I try and use a lot of similar tricks that they kind of do. Use a lot more, kind of octave jump ups and jump downs together, and a couple different things like that. And trying to write more unique stuff. I know definitely on a lot of the heavier stuff, I might fall back to playing more of the traditional kind of the root, follow the guitar parts, but outside of that, though, I like trying to, as much as I can, be creative. And I think that definitely comes from that kind of side of things.
Well, what got y'all into mixing that progressive style with black metal?
I think just like we've all liked varying styles of music for so long. Like I said, like Led Zeppelin was my first like falling in love with the music. Like I liked music before that, don't get me wrong, and like when I was 10 years old I loved Linkin Park, and I still do, but Led Zeppelin was the first time that I like listened to music and was like, I want to learn how to play something, I want to learn how to sing better. And then like obviously discovering black metal within a few years of that, probably 2 or 3 years later. It was one of those things where I think one of the first black metal bands I discovered was Arcturus. And obviously, like they're not straightforward just black metal. They're like spacey, keyboard heavy, weird tropes in their music. Sometimes I mean they have like trip hop songs on top of that, and like that was also like an immediate like falling in love with like this genre that I'd never heard of, and like that was the rabbit hole for me, was Arcturus. And so it was like I always knew I liked it a little. I liked my black metal a little weird.
Right.
So do we. So it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love the raw stuff here and there too, but like I like it a little weird too.
Well, I think probably Ishan to a certain point probably too was an influence.
We bonded with After.
In terms of mixing more prog into black metal.
Yeah, I could hear that.
Definitely see that
for sure.
Well, I mean, talking about Led Zeppelin, that's another band that they did a lot of diverse stuff. I mean, you got reggae songs like Dire Maker, and just straight up ballads, and then hard rocking songs and symphonic elements and Kashmir and stuff. So I mean, they were doing a lot of that stuff way back then, which I think translates well to what a lot of black metal bands are actually doing now.
Oh yeah, I could go off on the difference between Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 versus like Physical Graffiti and In Through the Outdoor, and those just like changes in music over that period of time. Oh yeah, it's good. That's a good period of music too.
It's insanely talented musicians, and I think there's I think a lot of the metalheads from today would actually be well served by checking out some Led Zeppelin if they haven't.
Yeah,
agreed.
Well, aside from all the bands we just talked about, I can't help but assume that Borknagar was somehow an influence on you guys as well, because you had Lars guest on a track. How did that all come about?
So Chris, for a little while, was in Ghostbath as their drummer, and they did a U.S. tour with opening for Borknagar.
Okay.
So the only time I've seen Borknagar was when Chris was drumming for Ghostbath as well. When that was just kind of like, Chris, you've kind of gotten to know some of the guys on tour. Who can you maybe bug to see if we can get somebody that we really like from different bands to guest? And he definitely had felt, I think, the closest with Lars. And he said, you know what, I'll try Lars and see what he says. And it just worked out, which is awesome.
Yeah, Lars was super cool about it. He just like, hey, don't send me anything but lyrics. I don't want any ideas. And just wrote all of the clean singing himself from there. Which was pretty fucking cool.
That's awesome. It's a really great track. That one's The Distance with him.
Yep.
Yeah. It's cool. Like, I mean, as much as I enjoy the clean singing on the album from you guys, it's just a totally different tone when he steps into that track. It changes things and just kind of is surprising, like uplifting a little bit on that particular track. Really enjoyed that.
Well, Well, sorry, before you transition, speaking of that song, the main concern was how do we keep this under wrap with as excited as we were. And when we got the copy of the first CD, I started looking through the booklet I think I don't really process all the lyrics sometimes, so I was kind of reading through a couple of the lyrics I didn't notice. But I was looking at the credits, and in the first credits, I think they copied the credits over between the first, just copied it. Whatever was in the second was in the first and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So I think in the first album, in the liner note, it does say like mixing or mastering or recording, some sort of credit for what Lars did for the distance, but it was like leaked in the first Reclamation Part 1. It was in the booklet, and I was like, oh my god, like I hope nobody
did anybody catch it or anybody ask about it?
I don't think so. Like I didn't hear about it. No, I'm not sure if somebody maybe saw it and kept it in themselves or.
We had a few people guessing when we like teased a couple seconds of the song on social media, but nobody guessed right. So that was kind of surprising.
That's cool.
I think his voice is so distinct.
It really is, yeah.
Are you sure there wasn't one person that said Lars?
I do feel like there might have been one, and it might have been on like a Bandcamp link.
Yeah.
When I like email from Bandcamp, but.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I feel like I remember one person mentioning it. We're like, you guys will find out later.
With as complex as y'all's music is, how do y'all get the recording done? Because there's a lot going on here, and it seems very, very complex, just when you listen to it. I can only imagine, the challenge it would be to record it.
Yeah, it does get a little complicated. I will say that, like, over this project, over this album, for the first time, we were sending, like, our full project in the DAW versus before we would just, like, export stems to parts and then upload them to Dropbox and send each other that. And everybody would have their, like, own project of it. And so this time we were just literally uploading the entire project because we were mostly using the same DAW and send it to that person. That person would make edits to it, send the whole thing back to us. And that way we could like edit certain parts without actually having to be together in person.
That makes sense.
But that probably improved things quite a bit this time, because that way it wasn't like such a pain in the ass to be like, hey, did you upload that one stem yet? That one stem? Okay, wait, which stem was that out of the 64 in this song again?
One thing I can say, that the production on this thing is flawless. Everything is pitch perfect. Nothing overpowers anything else. I'm a stickler for good production, and this is absolutely fantastic production.
Thank you. Yeah, we actually spent money. I will say that like Todd recorded probably most of his bass where he is right now. All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I recorded all the vocals right where I am at the moment with a different microphone. My 7B is over there. And we did spend money recording drums in a studio this time. And then Transcendence the Grief was also recorded in a studio. Mm-hmm. But other than that, basically everything was self-recorded. So I appreciate hearing that, because I think we're finally understanding 15 years later how to record ourselves.
Well, and I think, too, Spencer just did such a great job at pulling it all together as well.
Spencer, and shout out to Stacy, who is his assistant in this Red Nose Audio. He did all of the like, we quantized like as best as we could, like edited things up before we sent it off to them. But Stacy was like the first step before mixing, and Stacy really like basically gave us a pre-mix of everything after he'd edited stuff, and he caught lots of stuff that he fixed and was awesome. Like, that dude's a fucking brainiac, and he's a champ because it took him like 3.5 months to do it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a fast turnaround.
Yeah, for 90 minutes of music, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I think it ended up being Spencer told us at one point he basically hit like just over 200 total tracks for the whole album.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's a lot.
It's a few.
Well, going back to the lyrics, because Todd, you said you weren't even certain about some of them. Who is the lyric writer on the tracks? Is it whoever creates the guitar, or is it, a group effort?
It generally falls to me, but Chris also contributed on this album to some of the lyrics. I believe he did Vermilion, and he did Decaying God Child and The Distance. Does that sound about right, Todd?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Well, because, sorry, I was just going to say, like, making so much music, I think, James, you ran into a bit more kind of burnout than we normally do in terms of just being able to create enough written content for 90 minutes of music, in such a short span of time. So
yeah, Alec, he did contribute, I think, a little bit when we wrote Orb of Vanishing Light, because there were a few songs specifically on Reclamation Part 2, because it was kind of, Reclamation Part 1 was kind of done first before Part 2, and so, or at least most of Part 2. And so we had quite a few sessions right here in this office where we were sitting around, and I had lyrics, like a rough demo of well, this is lyrically what I'm thinking, but as we recorded it, we maybe edited it depending on whose part it was. So what we determined. So a lot of Part 2 as compared to Part 1 is more mixed vocalists. I do vocals on every track on Part 2, but there's Alec and Kelsey doing vocals. Obviously Lars did some. Aaron is on Part 2 as well. Versus Part 1, it was more me, and then there was a dash of Aaron and Elise, who was a guest vocalist on that Part 1. But yeah, like Todd said, I ran out of content, and I just told the boys straight up, I'm struggling.
Yeah,
I write so many lyrics, I don't want to be repetitive and sound dumb. And Chris stepped up and wanted to do it, and Alec wasn't in the mood at that point really to really write any. But Alec has written several in the past, and he is a phenomenal lyricist too, as is Joe. Joe could have written some. He has written some in the past too.
So did you give them guidance about themes or anything? Because the themes in the album, I hear a lot of different stuff. I haven't read all the lyric sheets for Part 2 for sure, and Part 1 I can only understand what I can understand. But I pick up some about spirituality, some about loss, grief, hope, reflection, nature. Those are the ones that I hear, but I'm sure there are others that I don't. Do you give the other writers guidance about what you want a certain song to be about?
I didn't have to give Chris really any on the songs that he pitched into. I kind of let him, I told him this was the vibe I was feeling when I was trying to write, but was kind of stumped to write anything. But Chris kind of took it up into his own when he was writing lyrics this time. Joe actually, on some of his songs that I did write lyrics for, like Sopharth and Orb of Vanishing Light, he gave me themes based on the titles that he had come up with for those songs. So he actually gave me some. Chris came up with kind of his own thing, or we kind of talked about it at first and he came up with something, and then the others I don't know, I was just kind of feeling the vibe to it, and I had an idea in mind based on the music.
Cool.
Do you write lyrics based on the music, or do you pick stuff up in, I don't know, your environmental or culture area, living up in Minnesota?
Yeah.
When I lived up there, it was, it's a very outdoorsy kind of, a lot of people go to lakes and go swimming and go ice fishing and, all that stuff. Very outdoorsy area, and nature is a big thing there. Is that something that influences your writing in lyrics?
Definitely quite a bit. I am a lyrics after music kind of guy. So there's on occasion where song is partially finished and I'm already kind of hearing something to it. It's just getting me super pumped up, where I might have 2 minutes of a song written, and I'd send it off to Chris, and he's like, "Oh, that sounds cool," and he sends me back a real quick demo of something drawn drums, and then I'd be like, "Oh, I'm getting this this pattern of vocals. Let me kind of come up with something really quick," and then that starts an idea for the full lyrics later on. But I guess I am definitely, I don't pull exactly from I do pull from the environment in terms of the outdoors, and that is a massive part of recreational activities in Minnesota ultimately. I'm not a snowboarder or anything, but I am a hockey person. I am a Knights fan. I like the Wild too, but I did kind of grow up a little bit all over. I've just been in Minnesota since I was 14, so about 20 years. Other than that, I kind of draw a lot from education / my job, I guess, a little bit. I've been a counselor for 10 years.
Oh, cool.
Specifically drug and alcohol focused. So a lot of themes related to that. stuff as well.
Nice.
So how did you pick the album title?
Yeah, it's just been a theme that we've been doing with the albums, that everything ends, in ION, Restoration, Ascension, A Reaction, and Reclamation now. But I think you had more of like an idea of a kind of thematic story, though, didn't you, James?
Yeah, a little bit of the thought behind the word reclamation and why I picked that, and or maybe I just inferred this later on after picking this, is that I think our last album, which was like a 5-year turnaround from our second album, which was a long time, but there was like a lot of member changes in that period. We were playing live a lot back then between 2015, 2020. Obviously COVID happened then, so that put kibosh on things, but it was a very mixed reaction because of like the difference in sound from our first 2 albums on the third album. But I mean, again, it's with this band, it's like you're going to listen to whatever album and be able to relate to any other album and be like, oh, this kind of sounds like this from this album, or this kind of sounds like, you can still see the character of Amiensus no matter what songs we put out. I think
I agree with that.
But it definitely sonically had a much darker mood to it, minus the fact that we did put out like a pretty straightforward black and death metal EP between those albums that was also like 30 minutes long itself. So I think people, if they had heard that, would have known what was coming. Not faulting them for not hearing it, but there was a like there was a foreshadow. But overall, it was kind of like I think people were pretty mixed on that last album and the reaction to it. And so I was kind of like, all right, well, this is like, we're going all out. We, like I said, like spent money actually tracking things. We, had somebody mix and master and spent a lot of money with that because we, had a lot of faith in him, knew he was going to do an excellent job, wanted like the best of the best for this, going with a double album in the first place being like a big concept for a band that's already at this point 14 years old. Like, who waits 14 years to do their double album? We do. So it was kind of like hey, we're still around, we're still strong as ever, we're still writing like the coolest shit we can every time we put out music.
Awesome.
So kind of reclaiming the throne.
Exactly.
All right.
I like it.
Yeah. With as complicated as your music can be, how does this translate in a live setting?
Backing tracks. No, we travel with a 40-person symphony. We've got the money to do that. Yeah, it's. I mean, you can speak to it too, James.
Yeah, I think yeah, it is. We definitely use a lot of backing tracks for like all the keyboards and stuff. Some of like the backing, like so we can have like multiple harmonies and stuff going on. So I will say that like part of the reason we did a really heavy EP in 2017, it was called All Paths Lead to Death, is because we wanted to have some of that like no backing track music available to play live, even though we did end up making backing tracks for that album.
Yeah, but it was more straightforward.
Yeah, it was really
transitioning to live.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like little keyboard bits here and there, nothing fancy. But yeah, we definitely are heavier live, and that was what sparked our initial like for that heavy EP. And so I think transitioning this stuff live honestly would be pretty easy. I mean, like some of it would be a tall task to like play super cleanly, and we definitely have to practice pretty tightly to get it. But overall, I think this album reflects our live sound better than pretty much any previous album.
Well, and I would say too that we kind of get pushed into a certain heaviness live too, partially because no one's really going to travel with an acoustic guitar unless you have a road crew and like big safe metal boxes protecting your acoustics and this and that. So I think that always kind of pushed us heavier live. But in terms of backing tracks, I suppose I should clarify, because some bands, I think, maybe backing track close to everything. I should clarify that, James is singing, we're playing the bass and the guitars and the drums, like, you know.
There's no fake drum tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just don't have a cellist on stage with you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be nice sometime to play with Chris, but
hey, Chris is down to do it. He just lives in LA.
Yeah. That's the problem.
Well, one thing I could definitely say, if you had a 40-person crew with you, this album, those bands that do those symphonic albums, with a full symphony, this here would actually sound amazing with a full symphony.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
An actual strings and brass section would be amazing.
Yeah.
I wish stuff didn't cost money because I think it'd be so cool. I think it'd be so cool to be able to do like an in-studio like live DVD.
God, I've been dreaming of it.
And maybe
for
with
years.
like a 4-string quartet, a little compromise on the amount of money being spent to not be 40 people.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was my favorite thing about the COVID era for bands, is that a lot of bands started doing those sort of performances in studio. And I loved watching all those during that time because we couldn't go to concerts and stuff. And I mean, now that the world is reopened and everybody's touring and stuff, you don't really see those anymore. But I kind of wish that we got both. I'm a little greedy.
Yeah, no, I totally grew up in an era where I bought all those live DVDs as a kid. Like, I'm trying to remember, probably one of Arch Enemy's DVDs was probably the one that I watched like the most back when I was in like high school and shit. Like, oh my God. Led Zeppelin too.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, I probably got 120 of them sitting in my closet right now.
Yeah, Green Carnation was another one. Their acoustic one, Under a Dam in Norway, was like super influential to us initially starting Amiensus.
That's cool.
Oh, what was that album that they had that was just one track, 60 minutes?
Light of Day, Day of Darkness.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That was so damn good. That was the first time I'd ever heard a one-song album that was, 60 minutes long. And it never got boring. It's just a testament to the phenomenal songwriting on that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's not that long, but if you haven't already listened to Crimson by Edge of Sanity, that one's a 42, 43-minute one. It's Dan Swano from Bloodbath and one of those, and it's kind of like a sci-fi rock metal opera kind of thing. Kind of death metal focus, but it's a pretty sick album.
I might have heard that. I can't remember if I did or not, but it sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was like 95 or 96 or something. But yeah, it was nice to be able to see all the bands. Like, if you can read backwards, I'm wearing a leper shirt. I think they were doing like a playthrough of each album, in the studio, like every month or what have you, which is cool because they were playing songs that they're like, we're never gonna, really play these live. There's a lot of complications, with trying to translate some songs, live. So to be able to get these full releases was cool. And then Ishan did, I think, at least one. I think he might have done a couple.
He did, yeah. I watched one of them from him at least.
And I don't know if it was during COVID, but the Contortionist did a good one as well. But yeah, I think those are the major ones that I saw, and it was just great to be able to, play those again. So.
Well, if you guys ever make it happen, I'll definitely tune in. I would love to see that.
I would love. We have the perfect place down here in Rochester to do it too. It'd be so good. It's my dream one day.
Well, I know there's some obstacles to you guys touring right now, but is there plans in the future to try to tour to promote Reclamation?
Yeah, we've been asked a little bit about next year, and we're shooting for maybe doing something towards the fall of 2025 for a little bit.
Cool.
Probably heading to the East Coast and back to the Midwest. Probably won't be super long or anything, like maybe a week, but we've gotten invites to do some stuff out there. I can't spill beans, but really, fingers crossed that we can do something cool because everybody's getting older and people have families and shit and kids and stuff like that. Well, I should say only Aaron has kids, but
yeah, I was gonna say Aaron. Aaron doesn't play live. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron has enough of them for everyone, but hopefully if he watches any of this, he'll get a laugh at that. But
hey, you got 4 dogs. That's just like having kids.
It is. They're very mysteriously quiet right now.
Yeah, they're well behaved.
Yeah. I heard my dog at one point. I was like, do I need to do anything? But
yeah. But
hey, if y'all come down to Des Moines, I will personally pay for your hotel room.
Is there any venues left in Des Moines?
Well, we got Lefties Live Music, we got XBK, we got Woolies.
Vaudeville still open?
Vaudeville closed.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Vaudeville closed.
Vaudeville was my jam.
Yeah, that was the only place
Vaudeville
I
was
played.
pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I would hit Lefties for sure.
Yeah, Lefties is a good place. The sound's pretty good. Woolies is a little bit bigger than Lefties, and they actually have a full on stage rather than, lefties only has like a 2-foot stage.
Yeah.
So it's more like a drum riser than it is anything else. But yeah, the sound is good. They have decent sound. XBK isn't bad. All of them kind of small, but
would they let if we have any conservative fans, would lefties let them in? I don't know what the what the theme is there. If they kick you out or not.
No, lefties is all about the owner had a dog that was missing his left leg, so the dog's name was Lefty.
Gotcha.
And you'll see drawings on the walls of Lefty. He was a very sweet dog. Used to come to all the shows. He passed away about 2 years ago, I think. Yeah. So, but he was a very, very cool dog. Used to just hang out with all the metalheads.
It's like Raising Cane's, but with a lot less chicken fingers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's cool. I mean, if you guys do make it to Iowa, I don't know, I might fly up there to see you guys too. If Christian's paying for your hotel, we can just hang out or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll pay for your hotel too, man.
All right.
There you go.
That's very nice.
A lot of the live shows that y'all have played, is there anything that stands out, like a super memorable live show that y'all have played?
I always laugh at one. I think it was LA, just because there was, I think it was Now Enters Dusk we were playing first.
Mm-hmm.
And it opens with kind of a solo bass fill, like 10 or 20 bars in, but where I come in, and I just remember I thought I was playing, and then I'm like, oh, I don't think I hear myself. And somebody was taking a video clip, so I always laugh because there's a video clip of me kind of looking around. And I mean, the rest of the clip was good. It sounded good. It looked good. And the only thing was I fucked up. And so you see me looking around and inquisitively, and then I'm like, oh, my tuning pedal's still on mute. And so much for that whole part of the song. But I think that one is always a big one for me, just because of how goofy I felt about that. But
that was an interesting show, for sure. Oh, that was hot as balls, too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think other memorable shows. Well, I will say the last year when we were in Chicago, they were live streaming the set at Reggie's, and a fight broke out in the middle of Prometheus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's right.
And I just, you guys kept playing because I just turned around and I was like, just keep going. And I'm like, I jumped off and started fucking yelling at these two dudes to stop. And then security immediately came and grabbed one dude. And I don't know 100% what happened, but I guess the agitator got to stay, and the dude who threw the first fist, who wasn't the original person who was trying to pick a fight, got kicked out. I didn't see any of that happen. I was kind of too busy,
trying to perform.
Being a doofus. Yeah, being a doofus on stage, and because I don't know. I guess if you see any of the videos of us playing live, I don't I don't wear we don't wear corpse paint or anything on stage. We're not that cult. And I like to dance like an idiot because, Robert Plant's my favorite vocalist. So,
well, I'd say I remember too our first show. I had invited my family to come, and my sister forgot to bring her ID. I think just not thinking that it was a bar show necessarily that you were having to get ID'd. But I remember that one was kind of memorable because I talked to the door guy and I said, can you X her hands? She's not going to drink. She's old. I mean, she's old enough to drink, but she just didn't have her ID. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's no big deal. I'll X her hands. And 2 minutes later, one of the bartenders is just screaming as loud as he can at me that I'm trying to get their liquor license taken away, or that I'm trying to sneak in a minor or something.
She was 30 something too, wasn't she? Or late 20s even?
I mean, she's 10 years older than me, so
okay.
she would have been, mid-30s maybe then.
Yeah.
And my parents were there this is our daughter, and that's my sister. and God, that guy, he was just so angry and screaming. And then it's then we have to go on and perform our set. And I was like, this is just such a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it could have been resolved without screaming. Because then they did have to leave and come back with the ID.
That's lame.
But they got back before our set, but it was just kind of so frustrating to be like, "Hey, man, you might have anger issues."
Yeah.
I'd say Vancouver was my other.
Oh God, yeah.
So there was a guy who literally was like Captain Jack Sparrow from Australia, who was the sound guy in Vancouver one time, and he literally was just like we sound checked, and then in the middle of our set, we could literally audibly hear him like still messing with the levels of all of the guitars and stuff. And we're like, what the fuck are you doing? Didn't we spend like 10 minutes sound checking?
No, the problem was, he wasn't changing it on the soundboard. I think they only had like the ability to put a mic through the PA. So what was happening was when our levels kept changing was he was climbing onto stage and climbing back off and turning all the knobs on our amps while we're playing and trying to focus on giving this performance. And it was a small stage, and this guy keeps pushing past us as we're playing and turning things up and down, and we can't hear like what we're expecting to hear.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was just so like peeved about that.
It was still a really good show, but I did jump off the stage at one point in a song and like kiss a dude on the cheek, and he punched me.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of lame too. It's like,
Yeah, like that.
I don't understand why people get upset about stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, I guess that eliminates the question about any sort of odd interactions with fans that you've had.
Yeah.
That would definitely be one.
Yep.
I think that was really the only, yeah. I mean, I think we have really good fans. I don't think we've had really any bad interactions
For sure.
with it. Well, actually, I remembered somebody that's a big fan was like, I don't know, I was just probably saying something like generally liberal, and he just like blocked me on Facebook. He got really angry, and it's just like, okay, whatever, man. Like, I'm not, it's not some socialism or communism or anything. It's just like, I thought I was saying pretty average, views for society, and it's just like
there's a certain group of the population that's a little bit brainwashed at the moment, so you can't really.
Yeah. It was after 2020. I mean, I think it was like maybe 2020 when A Reaction came out, and somebody left a comment on like the part where on Bandcamp you can leave like a favorite track and like a comment about the album when you buy it, and like so like somebody bought the album and left a comment and was like, I really loved this band until they decided to get political. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
When have we ever been political?
That's crazy.
Yeah. There's
I mean, like, we are personally, but like, I'm like, we don't talk about politics in our music at all. Like, we're not Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah. I forget, was that though for the split when some of the money was going towards?
No,
like,
it was on A Reaction though.
Civilians. Oh, okay. Yeah, but he was probably referencing when we did that split, though.
Probably, because that did happen that year.
Yeah, because I think we were just sending money to like civilization organizations in
you
Ukraine,
monsters! How dare you? No, I'll never understand
the whole thought of
that
trying to
mindset.
help the greater population is such a horrible thing. Yeah.
Well. All right, let's get into a little bit more personal questions, I guess. So aside from Reclamation, what are your favorite albums you've heard this year so far?
Ooh,
let me take a look.
Yeah, let me pull up
I'm someone that can just keep listening to the same thing for just like, I don't know. That might be a part of being like neurodivergent, is just being able to listen to like the same song for like a month on loop. So I mean, there's been years where we were doing like a yearly, top 20 albums or something, I think, Amiensus Spotify playlist. And there was a while where I tried to keep up with that, and I just have learned I just can't keep up with that many new releases.
It's a challenge. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm still amazed that Christian and I managed to, our friend group, we have a lot of podcasters who talk about metal. I've mentioned that, they kind of rely on us to be the filter for the good stuff and the bad stuff, because we put the most time into it. But yeah, there's just a massive amount of great releases this year.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at the list now, and I'm like, all right, how many of these?
Are you on the Wikipedia list, or you're a different list?
I'm on my Spotify
like albums
list
released.
here. I've got
Oh, okay,
so,
got it.
Because I've got a top 2024 list on Spotify that's been running since January. So there's a band called Rune, R-H-U-N, and it's one of the dudes from Falls of Rauros, and that's probably my favorite black metal album this year.
Okay. I heard that one. It was really good.
Yeah. And then there's a band from Minnesota, though I don't know them personally, called Me Korizai, and their album's called The Great Filtration, another black metal album that's like really fucking cool. I'm going to leave out the Borknagar and Alcest type stuff.
Oh, the Ishan dropped a new album this year.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
I've listened to it a few times. I just always like his solo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cinematic. I think it's like his most cinematic sounding album.
Yeah, definitely.
That Mike Korizai album, one of our writers for the site, he's a massive, massive fan of theirs. So I'm sure he'll appreciate the mention.
Hell yeah. The Last 10 Seconds of Life wrote a really fucking good album this year. I don't think I've really liked a whole lot of their stuff since their original vocalist, Storm, left, but their new album was fucking fire. That's a deathcore band. Hexablad wrote a really cool Witcher themed
definitely.
album.
Yeah.
Aquilus' album was fucking amazing. I always love Aquilus.
I didn't like Bellum 2 as much as Bellum 1, but it has its moments. But
it's fair.
I'm friends with the guy behind Hexablad on Twitter, so it's a good shout out.
Oh yeah. I tried to get him on the album, and he didn't read my goddamn message for like a year, and then he messaged me after we were like done mixing and was like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "I'm friends with you on like 6 platforms, dude."
The important question is, have y'all heard In Vain, the album Solemn?
I have not. I'm as I said, I'm not the person to ask on that.
Yeah.
So.
That's our current number one.
That's
if you haven't heard it, I highly recommend it.
Gotcha.
It's in the same sort of vein. It's progressive black and death metal. It's quite good. Quite good.
I think I've heard of their. I think I knew their last album or two. Yeah, because now that you say that, I remember that kind of being the sound of So
phenomenal record.
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to a lot of like albums from other years this year. I don't know if you guys ever heard the album Hostile Architecture by Ashenspire. It's like a Scottish kind of avant-garde progressive black metal album, but that was really sick, and I've been listening to that a lot again recently.
I saw somebody else talking about that album the other day too. I need to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. So non-metal Rex, Dive, D-I-I-V, Frog in Boiling Water. Been a big Dive fan for a long time. I'm the shoegaze dude in the band for sure. Todd is too though. Modern Colors' new album is pretty fucking cool. Another like rock, emo-ish type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Give it that. I'm trying to think. I have a different playlist for that music.
Were y'all friends with Oak Pantheon?
No, we don't know. No,
yeah, we are. We're buds.
Because their last album was absolutely fantastic too.
Yeah,
I was lucky enough to get that on vinyl too.
I think I've got. Do I have it with me up here?
That wasn't the one that you were on, right? That was the one before that.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
I was on In Pieces. Yeah, we've known Oak Pantheon for 11 or 12 years, I guess, at this point. Like, to the point that their first show, Todd and I were there for their first ever show last year. Sean, who mixes all of their records, he's not in the band, but he's the dude that's always engineering and recording and mixing all of their music. Sean was in my bachelor party. So, yeah, we know them pretty good, I guess. Yeah. Like, we've met up several times. Like, we meet up a couple times a year at least. There's been a couple years where we haven't been able to hang out much because they do live up. So Todd lives in St. Paul area, and they kind of live in like the St. Paul, Minneapolis, Twin Cities metro for the most part now. They're a little scattered a bit, and Sammy moved to Milwaukee area for a bit, and is now back in Minnesota as well. So. But yeah, we see him here and there. We've got our own Discord channel and everything that we chat in, of course. So
cool.
Yeah,
that'd be a perfect double bill here in Des Moines.
I know. We've been
Amiensus,
since they started playing live. They've been bothering us about it, and it's just not capable for us at the moment. So, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the future.
Hopefully not an April Fool's joke this time around.
Yeah, we did do that as an April Fool's joke once.
People were heated about that.
They did get a little mad at us.
Sorry about that.
We do like our April Fool's jokes, I'll say that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I guess one album this year that I listened to a decent amount was the new Ulcerate album. Like, besides being into like more proggy black metal, a lot of the stuff I listen to is death metal, and definitely just have a big spot in my heart for that. You know, I don't know if people get angry about calling it, you know, dissonant death metal or not, but kind of that Gorgod, Ulcerate, you know, those kind of guys, some of that material. So I like the new Ulcerate album. I think people didn't like it as much because it was kind of a different. They went slightly different direction. I think it was a little more stripped back than other albums.
I'd agree with that. It's still a good album, though. I bought that one on vinyl.
Yeah.
Did you hear Defacement's new album that just came out? If you like dissonant death metal, I think you'd like that one. It's really good.
Defacement?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check that out.
We've got lots of recs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was last year, one of the ones that I really liked in the death metal sphere, too, was Almost Human by... No, it's not Wormed. It's...
Wormhole?
Wormhole, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I really like that one a lot, too.
They're insane live, actually. I saw them with Hath and Gorod. They were monstrous live. It was crazy.
Yeah. You know, that's the kind of tricky part sometimes with Minnesota, and especially more recent years. I think people tend to skip Minneapolis and St. Paul more often on tours now.
Yeah, Christian complains about it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to drive all the damn time because, you know, like bands will stop and Omaha gets way more shows than we do here in Des Moines. And, you know, the very next night they'll either be in Chicago or they'll be in Minneapolis. So the easiest way to get to either one of those cities is driving right through Des Moines, and they don't stop here. So, you know, that's kind of frustrating. The amount of shows that I'll go to up in Minneapolis is kind of ridiculous. Like here in, September or the end of September, Amorphous, Dark Tranquility, and
Fires in the
Distance is going to be up there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And I am so looking forward to that show. that is going to be insane.
Damn.
That's 3 absolutely fantastic fucking bands.
Yeah, weren't we supposed to do a tour of Fires in the Distance that we couldn't do for some reason, Todd?
Were we? Well, because did they do the Meadery Festival?
No, I think it was like it was supposed to be like a September or October run that we were talking to them about.
You're not thinking of Dawn of Ouroboros, are you? Or
no,
or
it was
Tomarum?
I was Tomarum and
I would be a bill I would kill to see.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was
No
both
shit.
of them, and then one of them was asking if we could do some of them, and we were like, well, we can do some of these, but
yeah, I think we couldn't do enough that it would make sense
Yeah.
for either end. Just with the uncertainty now, with a couple people just focusing on some health issues.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
which was a bummer because I was like really wanted to tour with Tomarum. I mean, Dawn of Ouroboros is cool, sick too. I would have taken any of those.
Yeah.
Any of those.
But I mean, it's
bands
so
would be
expensive to tour here in the U.S. You know, touring here is just so fucking expensive because of how far away everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
true.
that's why there's so many European bands that just stick to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because your next gig's probably an hour away. That's
coming from
that's
the Midwest,
not the case
it's
here.
like coming from the Midwest too, it's like it's about 5.5 hours for me to Chicago. If I'm driving a vehicle bigger than a car, it's at least 5.5. With a car, I can get there in 5. But, and then beyond there, pretty much hitting Des Moines another 3 hours, or Omaha 5 hours, or you can hit some B markets like Indianapolis and Columbus in a couple of hours, 2 to 5 hours. But that adds up, especially if you're driving a shithole bus like we used to have that was a 10 cylinder engine. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah,
Sure.
That's no problem at all.
I swear way too much on this podcast.
Yeah, I already did like half an hour ago. You're good.
Okay.
No worries.
Yeah, I think otherwise it's just albums that I'm looking forward to on that, like Opeth. Looking forward to the new Leprous album.
Yeah, for sure.
Defeated Sanity I'll probably check out too when that drops. The one I need to go back to and I just haven't had time to listen to is the new Alcest album.
I absolutely love that album. Christian's a little fair weather on it, but it's a lot more clean singing than some of the previous releases. But I mean, it's beautiful. So it's kind of hard to hate on.
I
it for
liked
that.
it. It was just a little too slow for me.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. I think my personal favorite, because that's where I really got into it. Because I think there was a while where I wasn't sure if they were kind of sketchy or not. And obviously since then there's been a lot of the main guys saying stuff that saying different things that would not be somebody's that's sketch anymore. Would say. It's kind of tricky with the with the old band he was in, but I don't think he's
not associated with them anymore. Yeah, I mean we talk about that a lot. There's a ton of bands that you love, and then you find out that they are sketch, and it's like you have to make that decision about are they Nazis? If they're Nazis, we cut them out immediately, and if they're sketchy for other reasons, it's kind of on a case-by-case basis. But it's tough. It's tough sometimes with the European bands and the sketchy associations they may have over there to figure out what's going on. But
I always think that that's such an interesting discussion. The separating art and artist and stuff, in the sense that we have so much access to music. Mm-hmm. You could listen to listening to every metal band that has an album. Every album right now would still take more than your lifetime probably, and it's just you can just listen to another band. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of my thought on it. Is there's probably 20 different bands that sound the exact same as whatever band is sketchy or not. So
it's true. Yeah. I mean, most of them are.
We actually had a discussion about that on one of the episodes, trying to separate art from artist, and we kind of landed on the, what Justin was saying. If you're a Nazi, we're done here. There's no coming back from that. I don't care. We're done. I was born and raised in Germany, and that is from kindergarten on, you actually are taught about the Holocaust, in Germany every single year, just because you have to know that something like that cannot happen again. It can't just, be looked the other way. And a lot of people say, well, my parents weren't Nazis and, they grew up in that time. It's but they knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything. And to me, that's, that's the same as, saying it's okay. If you're just a shitty person who's been shitty to fans, I can probably still listen to your album, but, and just be like, all right, well, he's an asshole, but he writes good music. But if you're a Nazi, we're done. There's no coming back from that.
Yeah. Well, and I think the one problem just overall of, preventing future genocides is just what is shown to us. And I think I was reading an article the other day that was saying kind of the problem with the Holocaust education is it makes it sound, and actually Tim Waltz, I think, wrote something about that too for one of his master's or
his master's
papers.
Thesis.
Was the hard part about teaching the Holocaust as such an isolated event is people don't see ongoing genocides going on every day. I mean, there's so many genocides that have been going on in Africa, and there's there's just so many that if most of the time, if it's not mostly white people that are super involved, most of them don't ever make the news.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Rwanda's still going on. Is it
Ethiopia right now? Sudan?
Darfur was at one point. Yeah, that's the only hard part is, I wish there was just more taught that it's, it's not, those kind of events aren't
the
over.
Uyghur.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's sad. The world's a sad place sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Makes for good black metal, though.
Yeah, it's fair.
Okay, well, moving back to the actual interview, we have a couple more questions for you guys.
Sure.
If you could give advice to any new metal bands out there, not new metal, but new metal bands, what would you tell them?
Berber dang.
Play new metal is what I would tell them. Resurrect, be the new Korn. No, sorry, you're gonna say Jim.
No, I wasn't really saying anything serious. I was saying Berber dang.
Yeah. Okay.
No, my advice to new bands would just I don't really have anything serious beyond just like find something that you like doing, and if that's only playing a specific genre of music, focus on playing that specific genre of music and practicing your skills to play that genre of music. I don't think there's one path to being a musician, and so I try my best not to judge people, because I know that, like, I mean, even at this point in my life, and 10 years ago, I was meeting kids that were 5 to 10 years younger than me that were already way better at their instrument than I've become in the last 10 years since I met them. It's one of those things that, like, I didn't really even pick up guitar. I had a guitar. I kind of knew what guitar chords and stuff were from watching my bandmates play guitar, but I didn't really pick up a guitar until I was 18 and started writing. Like, I was because I moved to Illinois for college at first, and like wanted to still be able to write music without the other guys being with me. So I started watching YouTube videos of songs that I liked and learning chord shapes in those songs. I mean, there's no right path, so don't limit yourself. And if you find something that you really love doing, pursue it. I mean, unless you suck, but
yeah. Well, and I'd say too, there's not such a need for everyone to be super music theory versed necessarily nowadays.
No.
It's not like, you have to be Bach writing a 4-point counterpoint or anything. I think what was a very good thing for me to, get introduced to playing instruments, because I tried a couple times as a kid, and it just didn't really stick. I wanted it to stick because I'm like, I want to play guitar because my cousin plays it and it looks cool, or I want to play the drums because, I think a good thing if you're going into bass or guitar, a good tool is like something like Guitar Pro or Songster, things that allow you to play the tabs while the music is moving.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can also just look at guitar tabs in general, just the written ones, but you're going to have to, learn how that rhythm matches to the actual song.
Yeah.
As opposed to somebody, writing out the rhythm. But, it's just using a tool like that where you're able to find music that you like and want to play and learn how to play it. It doesn't have to necessarily be right to scales, or different things that make your hand hurt, or some things you're discouraged. It's just to be able to use the new tools that are coming out all the time to play the music that you like, because I think that's important, is to just keep being able to do it because you like it and you're having fun with the learning process.
I think there's a lot of, like you're saying, Todd, there's like a lot of focus on kids today learning music theory so that they can write like the most progressive, heavy, technical, and like, and that expands beyond like technical death metal or like genty genres in general. That extends to a lot of stuff. Like, I'm all about the fucking vibe. I don't, like, half the time I'm playing guitar, I don't even like, I have to sit and think and be like, all right, what is this note? I have to go like, okay, this is the D string and this is the 6th fret. Okay, this is, and like, that's how I tab with Todd. Like, Todd knows what I'm playing if I'm showing him the chord shape on it based on the tuning, but like, I couldn't fucking tell you without spending 5 minutes thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like just being able to reference tabs because it's, it's just a written copy in case anyone ever goes.
Yeah.
You just hear about guys that are learning parts that they wrote 40 years ago and go, I don't know how the hell this happened. I think it's just good to have like a written record of it is what I like. Yeah. And also those programs too, if you're writing, you can, plug in the notes or, the frets, if you're just wanting to view it as frets. You can kind of plug it in and play with that without, you could, have your laptop headphones on a bus. You could be, testing different harmonies or different things. So I like it for that aspect. And I like to tab our music because then I can try, I can just play the note. I don't have to start from the beginning of the song, on a CD or anything anymore. I can just try different harmonies, different intervals very quickly and easily. And that, I think, brings us more analytical like that, I think.
Makes sense.
Being kind of like a perfectionist and having OCD, just, it makes it easier for me.
Well, speaking of...
I think there's... go ahead.
Speaking of new tools, there's been like kind of an influx of AI in the writing process this year. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think it has a place in metal, or is it something you completely shun?
I would say... I shun it in the sense of if you're just going to plug it in and it's going to spit out a song for you, like, I don't know. I don't see the value in something like that. I think there's a certain mindset where people are doing things you can't, and you think using AI you're suddenly doing that thing. You see that with a lot of visual art of people doing AI, and it's like, look, I made something as good as you, and you've spent 20 years drawing and this and that, and it's just like the people don't want to learn to draw themselves. You can acquire almost any skill. So I'd say if it's spitting out a finished project for you, I would I don't like that kind of use. I don't like kind of any use in general for the most part, just because of environmental. I mean, it's spending a lot of energy to be able to make like some subpar music or subpar artwork. So, but if it was in a perfect world where it's not a lot of energy or different things, I don't think there's anything wrong with having it spit out different chord progressions and you finding what you like about that or tweaking it, different things, because I think anyone can pull ideas from different sources, and I don't think that's any different to use AI for that. But for just finished stuff that you had no involvement in, I don't like that. The one major use I do like of AI in music is, Chris turned me onto this, our drummer is, you might have heard of it, Amiensus, I think it is, .ai is their website. So it's just like a stem separation, AI. They plugged in, this is what, I don't know, however many songs, this is what the bass sound like, this is what the guitars sound like. And being able to separate that out to learn parts in songs, I think is very helpful. I don't think it always perfectly nails the sound spectrum. So I think sometimes you can lose some of the bass guitar into the guitar stem and not as much in the bass stem, or vice, any which way. But I think that as a tool to learn can be useful. So that's kind of my 2 cents. I don't know, James, if you have any other.
No, I agree with you there on everything.
Okay.
I'm on board.
I think too many people are trying and make things too complex. Just write what you know. You can go a very, very long way with just playing a big dumb riff. AC/DC's made an entire career out of that. It's not overly complicated, but God damn it, it's catchy, and you can go a long way. So, just if it makes you happy, I say go for it.
Yeah.
If it makes you happy.
I did have one more thought, that we're talking about. That is the other thing too, is AI with art can be hard too, not even from, if someone's coming from a relatively kind of good place of creating a song that they didn't really write. It's also a bummer to see it used for such nefarious purposes. In terms of Spotify, I don't know if it's been proven or just accused or not, but people have talked about AI generated music possibly made by Spotify or their employees or contractors to put into playlists so that there's less music being played that they have to pay royalties out to, which is 0.0008 cents per song play.
Yeah, that's terrible.
So it's already being crowded out, enough that no one's getting paid any money anymore, let alone AI songs taking up space, that should be going to real musicians and help them make some breadcrumbs. So I don't like that aspect of it either, of it being used for purposes of crushing artists. And that's already, it's already bad enough with a lot of streaming that it's not, the money that radios have to spend on radio plays. It used to be you could get a song on the radio, you'd be making some actual money. Spotify is always trying to drive down how much they have to pay artists and trying to drive up how much you pay them.
Well, there is some alternatives to Spotify that are out there now that do pay more. I can't remember what it's called. Tidal, yeah. Tidal's one.
Tidal. Yeah. I think YouTube Music pays a bit better too. I could be wrong on that.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Amazon because I pay for Spotify and Tidal. Spotify just has most of the... they got everything on there. And, Justin and I make a playlist of, 80 to 100 albums every single week. And, it's the only way you're going to get through them. So it's helpful in that respect, but, we definitely, we make sure that, we definitely support what we love. So,
Well, and two, I think the good use of streaming. If you ideally really wanted to help a band in terms of their music and helping them get paid, is if you are someone that's going to buy a CD at a show, that benefits us the most. But if you buy that CD and you do have a Spotify or something, play our songs on Spotify too. You could buy the CD and still contribute some money.
Well, we always encourage people to buy stuff on Bandcamp too, to support the artists there.
Yeah.
And I know there's even a competitor to Bandcamp, Ampwall, that's coming out soon that's supposed to be even more lucrative for the artists. So, I mean, that'd be great too. I think Spotify's, super useful for discovering new music, but it's not a great tool for paying artists or anything like that. So you got to go through other avenues to do that. But we always encourage our listeners to support what they love and, go to shows, buy merch, buy stuff on Bandcamp. We do everything we can to help the artists.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too that makes it just and Spotify, I think it's good for a lot of reasons. I don't have problems with that. But the other thing that makes it just feel really insulting of getting these breadcrumbs of song listens is the founder Daniel Ek. I'm just double checking what his current net worth is 3.6 billion, and we can't even buy I don't even know how many songs it take thousands of plays to just be able to buy like a soda or a pizza.
Yeah.
So that just makes it feel even kind of worse, So that is what it is. But I think Spotify's great. I think being able to listen to any music you could ever think of, on one easy thing, it's a lot easier than using an
iPod. A million streams on Spotify is like $4,000 or so.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's not a lot.
That's pretty high. I mean, that's a pretty high number to hit for, 99% of the music on Spotify won't even probably hit, I think, 1,000 plays.
Well, and also, too, I think they're trying to say that if you don't meet a certain amount of plays, I forget if it's over time.
It's like 1,000. I think it's 1,000 plays in 6 months. There's no payout at all.
Yeah, and they're just trying to, not pay out at all in that scenario.
Yeah. Well, we can only hope that a competitor comes along that, treats bands more fairly and also has the same depth that Spotify has. But Christian, you got any final questions for him?
Are either one of y'all involved with this band?
That would
Chrome
be James.
Waves?
Yeah. That's
me. There you go. I was actually able to find this here in Des Moines.
Oh, damn.
Found that and this one here.
Hell yeah, that's the first
EP
album
and the first album. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we're actually both big Chrome Waves fans too.
A little blast from the past.
Yeah.
Thank you. Fuck yeah.
Well, how it happened is we had toured with Abigail Williams at one point because Ken had worked on our first album. So we toured with them, and Jeff was playing in the band at the time. So that's kind of how we got to know him.
So is Chrome Waves going to keep going?
Yes.
All right.
We kind of took a little break after this year or during the middle of this year, and we've been incommunicado in the last week and just starting to pitch some ideas about music for next year. So, I mean, there's actually like several unreleased songs that I don't know why we haven't released them yet, but
I don't know. So the last couple of years, it's just been a single here or there, and shows up randomly on Spotify.
Last year. Yeah, we did a full length last year, and then we did a couple of singles in the last, at the end of last year, and then like a couple at the beginning of this year. Mm-hmm. And there was a bunch. I think we had probably like 3 or 4 more that we were potentially going to release, and just kind of stopped. We just had life stuff going on, so
it
was a good. We went pretty hard for like 5 years, where we released like 4 full length albums and a couple EPs and like 5 singles in 5 years. So
it's a lot.
Yeah, especially if you're also Amiensus, and it can probably be a lot.
Yeah, just a little burnout, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just so you know, your albums are all the way down here. So every now and then you can get lucky.
I didn't pull mine out, but they're
every
back
now and
there.
then.
Appreciate it, guys. It's awesome.
Well, what's next for Amiensus? You guys writing more music?
Yeah.
EP in the works? Or
Yeah, how many songs do we have in the Discord? Is each post a song?
Each post is a different one. Yeah,
3,
and I think
4,
Chris has been
5,
messaging us about
7,
it because
8.
we got a couple of updates on them.
We've got about 14 songs in the works right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It looks like
Wow.
in our Discord.
Another
I mean,
whole
that's-
double album.
I mean, that's the whole power of, we're really lucky to have so many people, still involved with the band even after leaving or what have you. So, because a lot of them, I provided like some riffs to a song, which I hadn't done before, so it's just like we're constantly, I feel like, getting more songwriters involved just from our large crew, I guess, of past, present, and future. So.
That's awesome.
Well, I guess it kind of shows the good parts of actually being friends with your bandmates.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
True that. Yeah, we actually had like 2 demo updates today that I just sent out.
Yeah,
We
I
had
see those. Yeah.
we had a Cacophonics demo on 2 more songs today, so he just sent us over some demos of cello on some stuff already. So, yeah, no, it's kind of like every album cycle where we like when we release the album, suddenly we're like, fuck yeah, let's write again, and then like there's this massive like just explosion, and then we just like work on those songs. Like we have a bunch of them, and then we just kind of narrow them down into something. But last time we didn't narrow them down, which is why we ended up with 15.
Yeah, there you go. Well, there are 15 amazing songs.
Definitely. Reclamation Part 1 and Part 2 are just 2 of the best albums or one complete album that's come out this year. We love it. For all of our listeners, Reclamation Part 2 drops on the 30th. Definitely go to Bandcamp, buy a copy. Try to do it on Bandcamp Friday so they get as much money as they can. And I want to thank you guys for coming on and talking with us for a couple hours.
Yeah.
It was really great to get to know you. And if you do tour, take Christian up on his offer. He's serious about that. I'll fly up there too, and we can definitely chill. That'd be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah,
Yep.
dude.
Well, I'd say
Yeah,
too,
we'll definitely let
if anyone's in Minneapolis, St. Paul, General, Minnesota, James and I have a show coming up with one of his projects. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
So I started off with a solo project called Not, Nott. It's definitely like just Amiensus, but just more straight black metal stuff. And it morphed into having 2 more members. So Todd is playing bass, and Roman, who actually was on the Chrome Waves record playing saxophone, our last Chrome Waves album, playing saxophone. Friend of ours, he's playing guitar, and I am doing guitar and vocals, and we have our first ever show October 12th at Skyway Theater in Minneapolis. So
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
That's a nice venue.
if you're missing a little Amiensus vibe, well, you'll get some from this show for sure, because it's pretty much 2/3 Amiensus members, and it sounds like
Well, there you
Amiensus to
go.
be fair. So
What's that date again?
Not. I know
October
not.
12th.
October.
Yep,
Oh.
October 12th.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to plug that because it's like,
For sure.
You might be in just a ton of band, James, but it's I'm like, it's my first show in a long time.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah.
good to get live again. So
Well, I haven't heard.
Well, nowadays
any of
you
the
got to
Not
be in
stuff,
like
but I'm gonna definitely check that out.
Yeah. We have a Spotify playlist on our Amiensus page of like all of the bands that we've all been involved in. I think it's called Amiensus and our other bands,
Okay.
or Amiensus discography and our other bands.
something like that, yeah.
It's like 200 songs,
Cool.
and it's in like chronological order from like earliest to most recent. So
I'll check that out. I'm sure I'll find
Yeah.
a lot of new stuff to appreciate.
yeah,
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for coming on.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah,
that's
cheers.
listening, please go out and support them when Reclamation Part 2 drops. I promise you guys are going to love it just as much as you love Reclamation Part 1. And look forward to what comes next for you guys.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you so
thank
much for having us. We're always grateful to everyone willing to spend some moments of their fleeting lives to listen to, some art that we put a lot of work into. So we're grateful
Absolutely.
that you guys supported us and bought the albums, and yeah, we're just really grateful for that, and we hope to just keep doing it for a long time to come. So
Yeah, us
Yep.
too.
Yep.
yep, thanks guys.
Thank you.
See ya.